This episode of the Wise Guy Radio Show is brought to you by American Helix. The American Helix is a revolutionary new concept in smoking technology. Based on Bernoulli's principle, the shape of the pipe creates a Venturi effect, causing a swirling motion of the smoke through precision microholes that are produced for the intake system. This results in a slower burn that conserves tobacco and gives a smooth, refreshing smoke, making the Helix the smoothest hitting pipe on the market. For further info or to locate their products, you can find them on Facebook at facebook.com/SS Helix or contact them signaturehelix@gmail.com. That's signaturehelix@gmail.com. This episode of the Wise Guy Radio Show is brought to you by Mountain Glass Arts. For the month of June 2016, Mountain Glass is offering 3 sales. Their first sale is their Boros sale number 1, North Star First Quality Rods at 30% off. Boros sale number 2 is AccuGrind Joints at 30% off, and to receive discounts on either one of these 2 sales, all you have to do is put in the code NORTHGRIND at checkout. That's NORTHGRIND at checkout. And for all you soft glass nerds out there, soft glass sale creation is Messy Rod, 30% off. All you have to do is put in the code MESSY, MESSY at checkout. For any more questions, comments, or concerns, just go to mountainglass.com. That's mountainglass.com. This is the Wise Guy Radio Show, a podcast dedicated to educating and inspiring through conversations with today's top talents in the world of glass. We will be dissecting their journeys in hopes to deliver actionable content that you, the artist, can start implementing now, helping you grow not only as a creative spirit, but also a successful artistic entrepreneur. With a little organization, relationship building, and your artistic ability, you can obtain greatness. Climb aboard, whether an artist, retail owner, or enthusiast. We have a ton of fun in store for you. Welcome to the Wise Guy Radio Show. You're listening to the Wise Guy Radio Show. Hey, what's happening? Welcome to the Wise Guy Radio Show, episode number 111. This is Jay Michael, your host. Thank you so much for tuning in today. With 17 years of experience behind the torch, I am as excited as always to bring you conversations with artists, sharing their stories in hopes to inspire and entertain while helping you grow your business. And today is no exception. Today is a show we're talking with Will Menzies. He is coming back on to discuss trade shows and specifically Glass Roots that's coming up in October, which is super pumped about. Glass Roots will be held October 10th through 12th, 2016 up in Madison, Wisconsin. And you guys are definitely going to be enjoying a good time up there. If you do make it, even if you're not selling up there, you should definitely take the time out of your schedule for the 2 to 3 days up there just to come up there and see the show, get a little preview of what it's all about, and also meet a lot of the ballers and just the family in our industry. They're going to be having classes this year, demonstrations, discussions, talks, and just an overall fantastic time. It says now entering its 7th year, Glass Roots is designed for artists and distributors who wish to do wholesale business with shops and galleries. The trade show portion of Glass Roots is open to qualified wholesale buyers only and feature top American quality-made glass art, much of which is represented directly by the artists themselves. Public attendees can purchase art from many non-functional art booths in the main foyer and are encouraged to attend the live flameworking event presented by the Glass Roots Guild. This area of the show features at least 40 glass workers demonstrating and creating pieces for public viewing, live and silent auctions, raffles, and approximately 40 booths consisting of raw material suppliers and also raw material suppliers, functional and non-functional art, and a charitable glass organizations. Glass Roots Madison is held at the Monona Terrace Convention Center on beautiful Lake Monona in downtown Madison and connected by skywalks to the Hilton Monona Terrace for ease of attendance. And they will be having, which I actually said this in the show, but I'm going to tell you now anyways, the show itself, Monday, October 10th, is the buyer preview, which happens from 6 to 9 p.m. Here, a lot of people actually do most of their sales during the buyer preview. It gives the shop owners to come in and really get an idea of what you have and can pick stuff out right away. And then the 11th and 12th is the actual trade show itself. The 11th is from 10 to 5, and then the 12th is from 10 to 4. They have their education project. That's going to be held October 10th, 11th, and 12th from 10:30 to 3 on all 3 days. And then October 10th and 11th from 4 to 9 p.m., they will be having their live flameworking classes. And this year they are having actual classes you can take. And Darby Home is actually going to be one of the teachers doing a 3-day master class, which is pretty freaking awesome. There's only 12 spots available. I'm not sure if it's sold out or not, but you can contact glassrootsartshow.com for more information, and definitely check these guys out. I'm excited for this coming up. And so definitely take this episode seriously. We get into, again, not just talking about just Glassroots, but all the trade shows and really what it takes to get into them, and that going as an amateur is the best way to kill your business. So just think about these kind of things. And even if you don't do trade shows, just think about when you are going out and selling to your shops, just about the professionalism that you need to have when you go out there. Have your invoice books, have your pens, have your business cards, maybe have some stickers on hand, and maybe even a little freebie, a pendant or something you can give your shop owners as a thank you for them for supporting your work. So other than that, just to let you guys know, just don't forget that this episode can be found at wiseguymedia.com/1. It's going to be a 111, how it's going to be up there. And so it'd be wiseguymedia/111. Also, the resource page has a lot of our new information on there, including our new series all about selling your work. The first part being all about selling to a distributor. This next coming up episode is going to be on selling to retailers, and then we're going to be going from there. And then also coming up next week, we have some killer interviews and a new show coming up also, which is going to be a daily habits routine show that I discussed in a previous episode last year early on, and I'm going to rehash this episode and get into more details about the daily routines and habits that we should all have in our studios. But before I ramble on too long, I just want to say thank you all again for tuning in and for all the support and the love as we continue to grow the show. And I look forward to meeting everybody up in Madison this year. And other than that, if you want to be a guest on the show too, if you'd like to come on and share your story, if you feel you have a fun story to share, and just want to come on and just be a guest on the show, definitely feel free to reach out to me. My email is info@wiseguyradio.com. So info@wiseguyradio.com. You can also send me a message on Instagram. My personal Instagram page is jmichaelglass. That's JMICHAEL Glass. And then the Instagram page for the podcast is wiseguy, WYZGUI_radio. And you can also go on there and leave me a direct message, whichever you're more comfortable with all these new ways of us communicating nowadays. So other than that, I'm going to get the hell out of here. Time to go get some shit done. And we will talk to you all soon on the next episode of the Wise Guy Radio Show. Enjoy this talk with Will, and we will see you guys next time. Love you. Thanks for tuning in. Peace. Boxfan, how you doing, brother?
Lovely, man. Enjoying the day. How about yourself?
Hell yeah, doing fantastic, man. Thanks for coming back on the show. And today we're going to cover Glassroots and the trade shows and the ins and outs of it and how they got started and your perspective and how you are part of it. And not trying to talk people out of the other trade shows, but really just kind of focusing on the true American roots of a glass event, in a sense, I guess, selling glass. So if you want to start off by telling us about your history with them and kind of what you have, how you are involved, I should say.
Sure. I started attending Glassroots 6 years ago. I believe this is the seventh year. The first year I missed because it was out in Los Angeles. And ever since then, it's been held in Madison, Wisconsin. The website is glassrootsartshow.com. And as of now, it is the only dedicated American glass show going on in the United States as far as our, smokable functional industry goes.
Heck yeah. So there's no imported glass per se, but like we had talked about previously, there are we do have the Japanese artists that are involved, but they are homegrown in a sense in Japan with making their own stuff. They're not importing stuff, so it's definitely
correct.
Yeah.
Well, and that lineage of Japanese artists all started at Bob's. So, that's a direct tie into the original family.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty neat, man. I would love to see a kind of a side thing. I would love to see a tree, like a family tree made of, I'm sure it would be 20 stories fucking tall by now, but it'd be amazing to see the lineage,
Yeah. Well, you're going to start off with Bob, and then under Bob, it's going to look like, the tree of life. It's just going to be,
Yeah.
because Bob taught so many people.
Yeah, and I'm second generation myself. I learned from a guy who learned from Bob, so it's pretty
Right.
cool,
Yep.
It's pretty cool shit. Yeah, man.
So
yeah.
Glassroots Art Show is held in Madison, Wisconsin. And I've got to say that it's held at probably the most beautiful convention center I've ever been at, which is called the Monona Terrace. And it's the only convention center in the world that was designed by Frank Lloyd Wright.
Wow, that's badass.
Yeah. It is. It's amazing. And it's on Lake Monona in Madison. It's got such a different vibe than any of the trade shows, and not throwing rocks at any of the trade shows. It's more about where the other trade shows are held. You're just not going to get that kind of homey, chilled out vibe that you do in Madison. You're not going to get that in Las Vegas.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Vegas, the energy there is. I haven't gone to Vegas partially because it's in Vegas.
And so the show's coming up this year, October 10th through the 12th. The way that the show's laid out, there's usually, I believe the number is there's usually 125 or 150 vendors. And, this ranges from basic production glass all the way up to, anybody that you can think of as a high-end artist has been to this show.
Yeah.
That's, Salt, Joe P., Devin Somerville, Captain Crunk, Micro, Ghost, Ham, you name it. Actually, one person that hasn't been to the show yet, but we're super happy to announce that he's going to be teaching a 3-day intensive class, is Darby Holm.
Nice.
Yeah. So this will be Darby's first year out of Glassroots.
Hell yeah.
And so it started out as, a trade show for glass, for American glass. And from the beginning, there was always, we started off with a typical flame off kind of scenario where you'd have different competitors out there over a set period of time. And there would be the votes to see who won and prizes and all that. And over the years, that's kind of steadily changed to where the last couple of years, the demonstrations were for charity and not for competition.
Yeah, which is awesome.
Right. So the Glassroots Art Show promotes the Clean Lakes Society. So pretty much it's an organization there in Wisconsin that keeps the lakes clean. There's a lot of water up there. Big job.
Yeah, and that's part of the movement in our industry right now that I love is, with the Michigan project and the Arizona project and all these Colorado projects, going on.
Armadillo.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. Yeah, exactly. It's, it's amazing.
Armadillo has raised, I want to say that the Armadillo in the last 3-4 years has raised over $90,000 for Meals on Wheels.
Oh, that's fantastic.
And that's a pipe maker project. You know? Same thing with Michigan project. Same thing with Arizona project.
Yeah, it's amazing. I've heard some stories here and there throughout the years of some shady shit going on amongst some of these projects, but they seem to all level themselves out and really shine what they're truly all about. With helping the communities and the art schools, and it's so cool. It's the benefit of as an artist to make a living doing what we're doing, but also to give back to the communities is just huge. It's part of what this show that I do. That's my long-term goal is to the financial benefit of this is to start an art school here in the state of Florida for underprivileged kids, like the YMCA kind of thing, to introduce the youth to what we do, and it's not just to inspire them to be a glassblower necessarily, but it's to inspire them to live a life they want to be able to live and to be creative. It's pretty neat shit.
Well, and with all the money that's being pulled from the school budgets, I've got 2 kids and they're in school, and the emphasis on creative skills is just not there anymore. There's not the influence.
Yeah, my wife's an art teacher, elementary art teacher, so she feels that. But and I find with the way she teaches and some of her other fellow teachers, they're really holding on to their the foundation and roots of the art, but they also are implementing all the other things that their teachers are teaching the kids that they cross over into their art classes to really reinforce what the kids are learning. It's pretty neat shit. So I'm glad that we're all helping the kids in a sense.
Well, it's a healthy part of any community is to give back. Philanthropy's got to be something that people take care of, and it also helps people understand that being a pipe maker shouldn't be such a taboo thing. It's been going on long enough, and there are those of us that have our own families and are active in our own local schools.
Yeah, exactly. Like myself, every year I do the annual Great American Teach-In, and I spend an entire day teaching every single class, or not teaching, but showing a demonstration for every single class. I mean, it wears me the hell out. It gives me a whole nother appreciation for these teachers,
Oh, it's a hard job. And then, like we were talking about with the budget cuts and everything, I know several teachers that they spend a good portion of their own payroll on art supplies.
Yeah, my wife does.
Yeah, there you go. So, yeah, man, it's an important part of it. And going back to Glassroots, they've always had some type of philanthropic activity going on some level. And, as it progressed, and again, my affiliation with Glassroots is kind of a tertiary one, to where I'm an advisor. I go up and help them set up the show, and I've emceed for it a few years. So I don't own the show. I don't have, the only skin I really have in the game is that I enjoy vending there.
Yeah. Heck yeah. So as a new glass artist that's wanted to do a trade show, would you recommend this to be like a great introduction into getting into the trade show circuit?
Yeah, absolutely. It's not as overwhelming as going and doing perhaps like a Champs. Champs is a big volume show, a lot of buyers, a lot of vendors. So you definitely, when you go to Champs, you need to bring your A game, or you might not get the return that you would hope for the investment.
Yeah.
Because going to any of these trade shows, even Glassroots, is not a mild undertaking. It takes a heavy monetary investment. It takes a heavy time investment, and you really got to bring your A game, or you're not going to be happy with your results.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I did actually a past episode about that. And if you're doing a trade show and you're spending $5,000 just to get into the show, including all the stuff you're bringing, you got to at least try to bring in $15,000 of revenue just to make it worth your time going to it.
Yeah, 15. If you bring in $15,000, all you're really doing is you're covering expenses. You're not really making a profit off the show.
Yeah.
But what you hope to do is you hope to pick up new customers.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. And Glassroots is great. I might have mentioned this before, but to my memory, I want to say that there's about 125 to 150 vendors. And it's all glass. There's no soft import. There's no scale sellers. There's nobody selling e-cigarettes, anything of that. Everything that is in the show is glass.
Nice. That's good to know. Okay.
Yeah.
So people that are, say, an artist goes in there and they have like their dab mats and their stuff that's got their names on it per se, like upsells. That stuff should stay home. They should just keep it glass.
No. That's all marketing material. You can bring that.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all marketing material.
Cool.
So he just Nick Deverly, who is the guy that actually he and his wife have been putting on the show for the last 7 years. They want it to be a glass focused show.
Right.
Whereas if you go out to Champs or even to Age nowadays, I was surprised. I did my first Age show in Las Vegas in January, and I was surprised at the amount of vendors that had non-glass products and products that were actually imported, because Age was started as the American Glass Expo.
Yep. And
it was an offshoot of Champs to kind of answer Champs allowing imports in.
Right. Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, because wasn't it strictly the room stores at first before they went into the actual convention center?
Yep. No, it was all the rooms.
That's a great concept. Still, I wish they would have kind of stuck with that.
And who knows what they're going to do? They did the deal with the Hard Rock, and I think that didn't probably turn out the way that they necessarily wanted it to. First year at a new venue, unfamiliar space, not knowing the crew that you work with as far as the people from the Hard Rock, and so there were definitely some bumps and bruises.
Yeah. Yeah, so in terms of an artist going there to, get set up and sell their wares, I mean, and I guess based on your experience yourself, what do you recommend for, say, an artist to have their actual product to sell versus their samples of their work to get orders off of that kind of stuff? You know what I mean?
Well, it depends on what your product is, For somebody like, so let's say Micro or Captain Crunk, Devin or Paul, they make singular work. And so for them, they actually, start saving up work that they're going to bring to the show and make available for the wholesalers.
Mm-hmm.
To whereas somebody like myself with the American Helix, I take samples and I take orders. And we do have a few, we will take some headier stuff, singular items that stores will actually purchase. But for the most part, we bring samples and we take orders.
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of what I suspected, because that was my perspective too. Because like my goal is I'm going to be there this year myself, and my goal is to bring my one-offs, but also to bring a good amount of production as well to sell it, but also, like you're saying, to take the orders on stuff. And I know too, for those that are going, that if you say only have a certain number of certain items and they do sell, make sure you let your shop owners that are buying these pieces know that they should come back and pick them up when the show's over. That way you still have your samples, even if you put a little sticker that says sold on it, but at least other customers that are coming can see your work, so they know that they have, with what you have to sell in a sense.
Well, and that's usually not a problem, because the shop owners, if they're actually staying throughout the show, they don't want to be carrying that shit around.
Yeah, it makes sense.
And another thing that I would like to mention, this doesn't have to do with just necessarily Glassroots, but it has to do with all trade shows that you do. Again, come correct. Don't expect to just come to the show, lay your shit out on the table, and you're going to rock out. That's just not reasonable. You have to put time in. Harold Cooney was the first one that I know to do this, and he has a setup to where before the show, and with Harold, because he's so fucking complete in everything that he does, he sets his booth up and resets his booth up and resets it, and he has the lights this way. Then he switches them back. He'll terrace to where he has different levels of product. You got to look and see if you want to put risers so that you can bring the product more up to somebody's waist level, so that they don't have to bend over to look at it.
Yeah.
And speaking along this vein, there's a gentleman by the name of Bruce Baker. If anybody wants to look Bruce up, he was president of the American Craft Council. He's not a glass blower. He's a jeweler. He's never made pipes or anything like that. But what he has done, he's worked a shit ton of trade shows. And he knows his stuff.
Nice.
And he put out 3 CDs on different parts of a trade show, and how to set up your booth, how to talk to your customer, how to engage your customer. A lot of the things might be common sense, but they don't always come off as common sense. Like, nobody wants to walk up to your booth and see you sitting off in the corner tapping on your fucking iPhone.
Yeah, exactly.
You need to be ready to engage the customer, because that's what you paid $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 to go to Madison or to Las Vegas or to, wherever.
Yeah. And the guy's name was Bruce Baker?
Bruce Baker.
Okay. Cool. I'll make sure.
American Craft Council.
Okay.
I'm sure we can look it up and put a link.
Yeah, exactly.
In after the show.
Yep. That's
right.
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah, it's good stuff, because I know with the what the hell is it called? It's like the American. It's the expo they do every year for the craft people. They have up in New York or whatever it is, and
sure. Put on by Wendy Rosen, same woman who does the niche awards.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. And it's
right.
It's amazing when you see the videos of the displays and the booths, and it's like going to any major trade show, whether it's an electronic trade show or a housing trade show or whatever. It's like it's set up to the fucking T. Like, these guys are ready to sell their shit. And they're ready to sell their booths.
Business, man.
Yeah, it is. It's amazing. I mean, if you can walk out of there, if you have $1 million look, I mean, it's like the whole philosophy. If you're going to be selling a Maserati at the Holiday Inn, you're not going to sell it for full price. But if you sell a Maserati at the Taj Mahal, you're going to sell it for probably more than the car's worth. So it's all about how
you better bring 3 of them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's all about how your setup is. You can't just go there with a card table and a fucking black tablecloth and some business cards and put your shit out there and say, hey, here's my glass.
Man, you can't do that at Champs, and you can't do that at Glass Roots. You can't do that at any of these shows.
No.
I can't emphasize enough that you have to be prepared.
Yeah. Yep.
You have to be prepared because it's a competition. It really is. I mean, we're all friends. We all get along. We all see each other and don't feel threatened by each other as glass blowers. But when it comes down to it, it is a competition.
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Especially nowadays, there's so much talent in this industry. Even up and coming talent that's out there. It's like there's thousands of us now, and only a select handful really are going to or handful, I should say, are going to the trade shows and getting that exposure. But it's still, you have the top niche, the A plus competition out there. It's awesome. And I think it's pretty fantastic seeing this evolution of going from the age to the Champs and everything else. Now we have the Glass Roots going on. It's it's amazing.
Oh, well, and I think we were talking about this before we started recording the podcast, but the very first show that anybody, in our recollection, that anybody went and vended glass pipes, was an adult show, and it was Jerome Baker, Jason Harris, and Saeed Matadi.
Yeah.
Or actually, I think it was just Jason. I think that was before he and Saeed had gotten together.
Okay.
And this was like 95, 96. Well, Nicholas Deverly is the guy who runs the show with his wife, and education has always been important, and it hadn't been something that we've always been able to do at the show, but it's something that we've always talked about, trying to get the show up to a point to where, that education can play a part, and not just education for the glass blower, but also education for the store owner, the retailer.
Yeah.
Because we want them to prosper, just as much as they want us to get better with our glass work. We want them to get better at their retailing and their marketing and their merchandising.
Yep, exactly.
So with that, I think we'd already talked about how Glass Roots was doing the flame offs, and then they switched from the flame offs to doing charity glass blowing. And this year, they're adding classes, which has not been done before.
Hell yeah.
So you actually have the opportunity to watch a 3-hour demonstration or a 3-hour talk from Robert Mickelson, Carmen Lozar. I'm teaching a class. Tito Burns teaching a class. And there's a few others that might not have been confirmed. I believe John from Mobius is going to be doing something, but I don't know that that's 100% yet. And then there's a 3-day intensive that Darby Home is teaching, and that class is almost sold out.
Rad.
Yeah. And most of the classes are going to be demonstration style classes, but then there's also going to be ones that talk about, art theory, production. I mean, production is what we do. I know that a lot of us refer to ourselves as artists, and that's true in a lot of cases. But at the core of the majority of the people that have booths, production is the word.
Yep, our bread and butter.
That's it. And in today's climate, you got to be good at it.
Yeah, you have to be good. You have to be consistent, for sure. Because and I think that's kind of on a side note, to become a well-rounded artist, to be able to have a consistent production line and make it look consistent. Like you have 20 pipes on a table and you can put them in groups of 5, and 4 in the groups, they all look exactly the same, just consistency. It's all about it. And it's the only way you're going to get better. It's the only way you're going to get your name out there.
Well, yeah, in our case, we have to do it. I mean, we've got people that buy a certain helix and they want to get 10 of them. And I mean, holy shit, I'd have a real rough job if I couldn't find 10 helix that look the same.
You're right. Exactly.
So that's going to be, and this is the first year, so we're starting small. I believe that there's a total of 6 classes that are going to take place, maybe 8. They're all on a 3-hour schedule. I'm pretty sure that Roger Paramore is also going to be one of the teachers.
Nice.
Yeah, that's all happening October 10th through 12th.
Heck yeah. Are they going to have any kind of panel discussions?
There's going to be one panel discussion. I don't know that Nick has worked out all the all the details, but we've had one panel discussion before, which was 2010 or 11. And that was a really good and well-timed panel discussion. That was back when spice was so prevalent in the industry.
Right.
And that took up a lot of the discussion,
Yeah. That's something something I wanted to talk to him about potentially. I don't know if it's too late or not to do it, but I think it definitely was. It's one of the things that our trade shows need is a panel discussion to talk about all the changing of the laws and everything else going on.
Right. Well, and heck, it might be a good deal to see if we couldn't get Luke out there this year.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking.
With everything going on with the FDA, it might not just affect the e-cigarette industry.
Mm-hmm.
There's verbiage in there that also could affect us.
Yeah, he's definitely researching it. That's part of, we're going to do a whole talk about that on the show, just to kind of lay out some of the stuff, because it's, every day, like we said before we hit record, is like, it seems like something's coming up that's a roadblock trying to fuck us, and as we continue to grow, and we just got to keep pushing through it. But as long as we're educated, then we can work around it.
We've always been able to do that, no matter what the climate was. We're a very tenacious group of people, us pipe makers, and we've always been able to find a way to make it work.
Yeah, exactly. I agree. Yeah, I think that's what separates us from other art out there.
Well, and we talked about this in our previous podcast, that I believe that a lot of that comes from the camaraderie that we have with our peers.
Yeah.
We don't spend so much time fighting amongst ourselves that we actually can come together and fight against other things.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it's a I don't know, man. It's such a unique opportunity as an artist to be in an industry like this, compared to like people that paint or do ceramics and what have you else. I mean, they have their little groups and get-togethers, but it seems like our industry specifically really stands apart because of that, the community that we have, and because we're all in the same kind of dealing with all the same bullshit. We all have each other's back.
Well, and our industry also started upside down in comparison to other industries, and what I mean by that is that if you look at other crafts, 80% of the people involved in that craft are going to be what you would call hobbyists.
Yep.
And I don't know that 80% is the exact number for whatever industry or whatever craft, but let's just use that as a fair number. And 20% of the people involved in that industry are going to be professionals, to where they do this and this is all they do to make a living. Pipe making was opposite, 90% of us that's all we did. That's how we made our money.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's starting to change. There's definitely with the collector surge that's happened over the last 5 years, the collectors wanting to get educated about glass, getting very interested in it, watching demos, watching YouTube videos. There's been a lot of these people who have purchased a torch and a small kiln and some things and just started doing some stuff for their own enjoyment.
Yep. Yeah, it's pretty neat, and it's grown and growing and growing and growing daily.
Yes, it is.
So
that's. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, like in terms of the long run of our industry, do you think that the trade shows are going to be kind of like part of the glue that really keeps this industry together?
I don't have a crystal ball for that one.
Yeah.
I used to have all sorts of crystal balls, man, and all my crystal balls are cloudy nowadays. I really don't know.
Yeah.
It has a lot to do with how much of retail moves to the web. Has a lot to do with how our brick and mortar stores are going to hold up when we get further engagement from the large corporations. Like fucking buying a borosilicate pipe in Walmart is not that far away, folks.
Yeah.
At all. It's going to be a real thing.
Yeah, I agree.
And maybe it's not a Walmart, maybe it's a Target, maybe it's fucking who knows. But, as a matter of fact, in Mexico, there is a Walmart that rented out space to a smoke shop. And so there is legitimately a head shop in a Walmart in Mexico City.
Crazy. I had heard that our dollar store down the street from where I live is selling glass pipes out of it, like just import India, China shit.
I would love to see some pictures of that.
Yeah, I keep forgetting about going by there and checking it out. Yeah, one of my local retail stores, my little smoke shops, was telling me about it. It's like, because they're like, we had the gas stations forever that were selling it, and we passed ordinances and stopped them. But yeah, so now supposedly this dollar store is doing it. So I have to go by there and see.
Yeah. So, how long trade shows are going to be an integral part of us doing business, I really can't say. What I can say is that right now, I would not be able to grow my business. I would not be able to do the things that I do by not doing a trade show. And I was the exact opposite up until just a couple of years ago. Glassroots was the only show that I would do. I wouldn't do any other shows, and I went because I wanted to, not because I had to, because I enjoyed the camaraderie, I enjoyed the environment, I enjoyed being in Madison, I enjoyed seeing my friends. But it wasn't that I had to do that to run my business. Today, it's a different world. There's a lot more competition with shops out there. They're buying differently. They've become more price conscious. And in order for me to keep my business going at a steady rate, I got to go to a trade show.
Yeah.
And I got to go to a few of them.
Yeah, I wonder if just kind of thinking if comparing it to other industry out there, like we were saying before, like the home and garden industry or whatever, the boats and all that kind of shit. I kind of wonder if down the road, because of the internet and whatever else going on, if the trade show for us is going to become more of the higher end trade show type of style, where they're not going to, you really won't want to go there and sell anything production necessarily, or if you do have production, it's going to be a super high end production, like instead of the lower side of end of things, they're going to be more of the classy quote unquote, type of retail stores.
I can't see those things being separated, to be honest.
Yeah.
Not in a trade show environment. Now, in a gallery setting, of course,
yeah.
But in a trade show environment, I don't see high-end glass in production being something that can be separated, because you got to have that bread and butter.
Right.
You just have to. There's no two ways about it.
Yeah, it is true. I definitely agree with that. Yeah. Yeah, I'm just kind of thinking out loud here. If I look at QuickBooks and I look at our production glass and how much of that sells versus how much of our singular quote unquote heady helixes, collabs that we do with other artists like Kevin Murray or Salt. Honestly, I think that the number of heady helixes that we sell overall probably only come up to about 6% of our business. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, definitely. So yeah, it's interesting, and that's why I wanted to have this discussion, because it's interesting to how our industry evolves every year, and it seems like right now it's evolving even faster.
Every month.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Every month, and I see guys on the Instagram that have been blowing glass for a year and a half, 2 years, and these guys are incredible.
Yeah. They're
incredible. There's no way that I would have. Hell, when I started blowing glass, my end goal was I wanted to make an inside-out pipe.
Right.
That was my big,
Yeah.
That was my heaviest aspiration. Was, man, someday I want to make an inside-out pipe.
Yeah, that's too funny. Yeah, man, that's amazing. It's I always find the dichotomy with our medium, where like you have these cats that are amazing artists, and then they find this medium, and it ends up becoming that's the medium that they were supposed to be playing with was glass. They can't draw a stick figure, but they can make some badass shit in glass.
Yeah. Oh, there's no doubt. But now also, what I have seen coming is like the second or third wave of glass blowers is that we're getting a lot of people who are classically trained in arts.
Mm-hmm.
So you got a guy like Coons Glass. He went to Tyler School of Art up in Philly. I believe Zach Pukowitz went to Tyler. Z went to Tyler. So, we did get a round of people who, before they actually started blowing glass, had a basis in art before they started playing with this medium.
Right. Yeah, for sure. A couple guys I've actually interviewed for the show, they had very similar roots like I have, starting off in art school and wanting to get into computer animation, and because of the 3D aspect of it, and even though it's not a physical hand thing, but it's still three-dimensional art. But they didn't want to sit behind a computer, like was my thing. I didn't want to sit behind a computer for fucking 3 years working on a project. then they found the torch and the flame where they can sit behind a torch for a couple days and make a masterpiece, but have their hands, have their hands in it. And it's interesting seeing that, this, like you're saying, this wave, because art school has always been like, oh, don't go to art school, you'll be a broken, starving artist, blah, blah, blah. But now it's like, go to art school because you can make a damn good living if you know what the hell you're doing and do it right.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. During my age, I'm not going to say when I graduated high school, but it was a long time ago. And definitely art school was not a thing. It was not a thing that you would even consider if you were looking to be financially secure. Right. And it's the opposite. Our son's very involved in art, and he's good at it. And so we promote it because there are careers out there. He already makes video games, which is an art. He does 3D programming, which is an art,
Yeah. Yeah, my daughter's doing the same shit. She's doing graphic arts and making posters for the local theaters and stuff and making money already, So I've actually hired her on to be my assistant to do all my graphics and shit for my websites.
Oh, nice.
Because I could do it, but I don't have the time for it. So give her the experience,
You're too busy podcasting and too busy making owls and too busy over at Disney World making Mickeys.
Yep.
Yeah, you got one or two things going on.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's and she's excited about it too because I'm teaching her all the insides to the business and using the MailChimps and the newsletters and doing everything else. And she also writes, so she's helping me do all my copy now, and it's going to save me a shit ton of time. And in the long run, it's going to make us both money, And she's going to have a world experience where she can now take this stuff because, like with our kids, like I tell her, it's like go to art school, that's awesome, but make sure you get some kind of business education in the process. And a lot of these colleges now have a major focus in business because they see the way that the trends are in the world of art. And you got to have that business acumen to really be successful,
Same thing with glassblowing, and I think that's one of the things I enjoy about your podcast so much. It's something that we definitely tried to do with the magazine was you got to have a focus on business. You can't just, it's one thing to make it, but then you got to present it. You got to try to sell it. You got to learn how to deal with the customer to sell it.
Yeah.
And, a lot of times these qualities aren't ones that we're just born with. We have to learn them the hard way.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, man, I appreciate that for sure because it's something I've struggled with myself, and as I do the show, I still am learning myself. So I'm like teaching as I learn and sharing as I learn, and I'm learning as everybody else learns. So it's a cool thing. I definitely am enjoying it. So I definitely appreciate that, especially now. Like I'm doing this whole new series on how to sell your work, and my first show was on how to sell to a distributor, which is the foundation, and then you start going into your retailers and everything else. So it's gonna be a fun series to really share with everybody because not everybody's familiar with it, or they're afraid of it, or they're just, I don't know, there's just different reasons out there. But the goal is just to share the knowledge and take it as you can and hopefully use it.
Well, and, there's a language that you have to use when you go to a shop, and it's a different language than one that we use in our studios.
Yep.
You can't roll in all lax and chilled out and be like, yeah, man, I got fucking bongs to sell you. This is not the way to approach.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. I've seen it, man. I used to run a retail shop, so I've definitely been there, done that, seen it. It's funny.
Right. So why don't you step outside the door and think about what you said, and then when you've figured out what you did wrong, you can maybe come back in to try it again.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, and you got to also figure that, we're not the only people. And not only are we not the only people, we're not the only product category for these shop owners. I mean, over the last few years, because of the commercialization of the marijuana movement, there's a lot of products on the market that are for marijuana.
Yeah.
A lot. And so, them making time for us for an appointment, it's valuable, so don't be late. Don't fuck it off. Have your stuff properly presented. For God's sakes, have a fucking receipt book.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
man, I can't tell you how many shops I've gone to where I'm like, hey, man, I need your email address so I can send you this invoice. And they're like, what do you mean? You have an invoice? I'm like, yeah, my logo's on it too. Look at this shit.
Yeah.
You got to have it.
Real shit, man. I'm going to QuickBook this right over to you.
Yeah, exactly, dude. It's like, it blows me away. And it's 2016. It still happens. That people still don't understand. Go to fucking Office Depot or whatever and spend $4 on a receipt book. It takes you 2 seconds.
Well, be as prideful in that aspect of the business as you are of the glass that you're making.
Yep, Absolutely.
I mean, really, like that's a caveat right there. You just be as prideful of the way that you handle business and the way that you present your glass as you are proud of the glass that you make, the actual process, and you'll be fine.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, man. I have a couple friends of mine I'm bringing on the show. They have this fitness group called Zen Dude Fitness, and I've been working with these guys now for the past 4.5 months, and like I've lost a bunch of weight, and my head's in a great place, like whole 9 yards. But we were talking one day about the whole idea of the passion people have for certain aspects of their life, and if they just took that same energy and that same type of passion and put it in all aspects of their life, we'd all be some happy motherfuckers walking around smiling all the damn time. I mean, we're not always going to be happy, but the fact is that if we just took this energy, like you're saying with your business, put it in your business is going to run great. Even if it's not 100% making millions of dollars, it's still going to feel good.
Well, mindfulness,
Yeah.
I think, if there's one word that you can apply to all parts of your life, it's mindfulness.
Yep. Yeah, and that's funny you say that, because that's what the core of the show the interview is going to be about, is being mindful and being really, being on page with everybody with what you're doing, being compassionate, having empathy, understanding that you need to be professional. Have fun, but try and just be as professional as you can. Don't be an ass.
Well, the fun comes with not having a lot of stress in your life. And if you are mindful and you handle your business appropriately, then you're going to reduce the amount of stress that you have, and therefore you're going to have better days.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. Well said. So, yeah, man, so just kind of back on the glass roots, just kind of an idea.
Yeah.
So when you're going there yourself and you're getting set up, are you flying out there? Are you flying all your stuff out there? Do you ship it all? Do you drive out there? Like, how do you go about getting yourself out there? And your glass?
I fly because, we're in Texas, they're in Madison. It's, I'd say a 16-hour drive.
Yeah.
I'm not cool with that.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm cool with a 16-hour drive over like 3 or 4 days. Chill out, see some good spots, hit some good restaurants. I'm good with that. 16-hour drive in one day, I'm fucking not doing that anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, we fly out to Madison, and we stay at the Hilton, which is connected to the convention center. So you literally, once you get there, you don't need a rental car.
Nice.
It's wonderful. Like, you literally walk down, you can take the elevator down to the lobby, you can get you some breakfast over at the Olive Room, and you walk across the Skywalk, and you're in the convention center.
Man, that's fantastic.
So it's lovely. And then downtown Madison itself is maybe a half of a mile walk from the convention center. So in the evenings, you want to go out, you want to get a bite, you want to go to a nice pub, get some beer, get some cheese curds. You're a 15-minute walk tops.
Cheese curds.
Cheese curds, man. I'm telling you, Madison is evil on the diet. It's just evil. They got good-ass beer. They got good-ass cheese curds. It's amazing.
Yeah, we call it squeaky cheese. My in-laws, or the ex-in-laws, they used to go up there all the time and come back with a big bag of that shit. And I was like, it's like gold in a bag, man. I love that stuff.
It is. Yeah, well, get ready, man, because you're going to get the freshest and the best.
Yeah, right from the cow.
Yeah, right there, right there. So, as far as relaxed, family-style environment, Glassroots is the only show in the country. I can't think of another show that I would feel comfortable bringing my kids to.
Awesome. So how about getting your glass there? Do you ship it out?
Ship the glass. Yep, box it up, ship it. Everything's, it's just like any other trade show. They got everything laid out. So, when you get to your booth, your boxes are right there in your booth. And then when you're finished, whatever you got to send back to the house, you box it back up, and they've got an office for you to do your mailing invoices, and you tape them on there, and then you fly back home.
Nice.
It's pretty painless.
So an overall cost then for yourself, I mean, we don't have to be so specific necessarily, but like about an average, what do you think it's going to cost total to get your ass out there and ship all your glass?
Well, you're going to put in about not quite $2,000 into a 10x10 booth. They also have artist booths available that are more affordable. I want to say that they're probably half the price. They're like $1,000 or $1,100. Flight, Madison's not a big airport. You can always opt to fly into Chicago or Milwaukee and rent a car And depending on where you're coming at from what part of the country, you might even be able to just get a direct flight into Chicago, and it's about a 2-hour drive to Madison.
Okay.
Or you can fly directly into Madison, and the ticket's going to be a little more expensive in Chicago. It's probably going to run you about $350.
Okay.
And then your room cost is going to average about $100.
Okay.
And then you got your beer tab, you know?
Yep.
You're in Madison, there's a beer tab. It's serious.
Yeah, I bet.
They got good beer.
Yeah, I can't wait.
Yeah. So I would say that overall, you know, you bring 2 people out, you're probably going to spend about $4,000 to $5,000 at the show.
Okay.
You know, and legitimate sales at the show can range anywhere from $15,000 up to $65,000. You know, I've definitely heard. I've never done that much, but there's definitely supposed to come over there and range it out.
Yeah. Yeah, I know a couple guys I've talked to where they're like 6-7 months worth of orders that they've received, you know, booked out wise.
Absolutely.
You know,
absolutely.
So on that note, okay, so I had not an argument, but just a heavy conversation with somebody that was out there, and their perspective on taking orders was not to get a deposit from the shop. Obviously, their point was that they felt that the shop wouldn't necessarily have enough money on them to give everybody deposits on their orders. And my concern was that not giving a deposit doesn't lock the order in, so if you make the order, the shop's going to be either like, oh, who the hell are you, or they're going to back out. So what's your perspective on taking orders from shops that you say you've never dealt with before?
It's always a gamble. I don't take deposits. I don't like holding people's money. It just feels bad to me, not to mention that there's a certain karmic influence when I take money before I finish a project.
Mm-hmm.
And it just seems to karmically, something's going to fuck up. I don't know why that is, and that might just be my own experience, but we do not take deposits. So what we do is we'll call the shop when we're probably a week and a half, 2 weeks out from having their order ready. We just verify with them. Still want the stuff? Good. Here's the price. And how are you going to pay for it?
Yep.
And then we go ahead and take payment information, and we run the payment before we ship the goods.
Okay.
So that's how we do it. It is a chance that you take. One thing that I can say is that at the higher volume shows like Champs, I have more percentage of customers that end up not paying for their order. That doesn't mean that there's a lot, but at every trade show that we've done with Champs, 2 or 3 of the people are ultimately going to be super hard to get a hold of, and we're just going to end up taking their order and putting it back on the shelf.
Yeah.
At Glassroots, I haven't had one single order have to be put back on the shelf. I have a 100% rate with any of the shops that I've dealt with at Glassroots. But you got to look at the buyer. The buyer knows the value of American glass, and they believe in the quality of American glass. And so they tend to be maybe a bit more serious of a buyer.
Yeah, that was my perspective as well. Yeah, for Glassroots at least. Yeah, for sure.
And it's not as heavy of an environment. You don't feel the pressure. I mean, these folks go to, like an Age or a Champs or perhaps even whatever the other show is. I don't remember, the Gustavo show.
Yeah, the big one.
And the big show. There you go.
Yeah.
And there's a shit ton of things to do. There's a shit ton of people to look at, and they've got a very limited time to look at it. I mean, you're talking about a show floor that has anywhere from 500 to 800 vendors. That's heavy.
Yeah, it's a C.
So you don't get the time to interface with your customer that you do at Glassroots. So, Glassroots, you're going to have 125 vendors. You're going to have probably 250 shops show up. All the shops save their money. They've got a budget. Now on singular items, we were talking about how we do on taking our orders on singular items. Of course, it's cash and carry. And there's a lot of shops that save up a lot of cash money to come out to Glassroots and buy nice glass. There'll be people walking around with a $25,000, $35,000, $50,000 budget,
yep,
like in their pocket, ready to go. And because it's a smaller show and because it's not as crammed in, you get to know your customer better. You get a chance to really understand what their concerns and their wants are, with our product line. And that's super important moving forward, because if you don't have that communication with the customer, how do you know that you're tracking properly on the pieces that you're making?
Yeah, I agree, man, for sure. And I think that right there is the root of all this, is that the relationships that you build with your customers is the number one key to being successful, because then you can communicate with them, they'll understand, you understand them. It just makes such a big difference compared to some dude that you just met online that's like, hey, man, I'll buy all your shit from you, and then you don't hear from them again.
Right.
Makes a huge
difference.
difference.
And I also understand that there's some people that, they make what they want to make, and that's it. And I think that's beautiful, and I think it's very liberating, but I'm not that guy.
Right.
I'm not that guy. I like to crush out work.
Yeah, I know we talked about that before. Yeah.
Right. I am a productionist. And so for me being a productionist, the opinions of my customers are valuable. As a matter of fact, the opinions of my customers are probably one of the most valuable pieces of information I can come up with.
Yeah, absolutely.
So in that aspect, I find Glassroots to be a better environment for actually building relationships with my customers.
Hell yeah.
And you also don't have the casinos, and you don't have all the things that come with a Vegas or an Atlantic City or a Miami, Florida. Madison is like a small Austin,
Mm-hmm.
It's a cool place. The people are very laid back and mellow. It's not a high pressure cooker like Vegas is.
What's the?
And there's also not the.
Oh, go on.
Well, I was just going to say there's not the distractions that you have of the fucking ringing lights of the casino.
Yeah.
All the buffets and things of that nature that are intrinsic to Las Vegas.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes total sense. What's the laws like in Madison for cannabis? Are they medical?
It's illegal.
Is it still?
It's illegal.
Okay.
But one thing that I can say is that even though it's illegal, they don't mess with us. Like, I can't think of one single time that anyone had any type of a poor interaction with law enforcement in Glassroots at Madison. Now, that doesn't mean that you're supposed to act like you're living in fucking Eugene, Oregon.
Right.
'Tis not the case. You need to keep your responsible head on about you.
Yep.
But I've never, and then like Age came to Dallas this year. This is the first time that they had a trade show in Dallas, and there were people that were arrested. So even though Madison is not progressive with their laws as of yet, the law enforcement there, Nick and his wife and family have tried very hard at putting a very good look for our industry. They're members of the Downtown Madison Society. They meet with the local business owners. They're the number 2 trade show in Madison, and the number 1 is the World Dairy Expo.
Wow.
So, Madison has got some pretty large trade shows, but still Glassroots is the number 2 trade show in Madison.
That's
and
fascinating.
So the city enjoys us. They enjoy us. They enjoy us being out there. We have a great relationship with the restaurants and the bars. They know we're coming, man, every October. They know.
And that's typically what the monthly of the year it's in, is in October?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Yeah, which makes sense, man. Gears up for Christmas time. It's a perfect time of the year.
Gears up for Christmas time, and, if you fuck around and wait too late in Madison, man, you might get caught in a blizzard.
Yeah, I was about to ask that same thing, how the weather was up there that time of year.
In October, it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. It might drop down to the 50s at night, and it might get up into the 70s during the day.
Beautiful.
Yeah, exquisite. And when you walk out of the trade show, you literally walk out to Lake Monona, which is, it's a largish lake, man. It's not a small lake, and it's beautiful. And you can sit there and feed carp and catfish right from the walkway right outside the trade show.
Huh. Fascinating.
Yeah. Yep. So anyway, those are the reasons that I enjoy going there. And I don't have to compete with somebody selling scales or e-cigs or smell-proof bags or whatever the long list of items that the shops need.
Yeah.
The shops that come to this show are coming there specifically and only to purchase American-made glass pipes.
Good. Hell yeah. I saw too they had a buyer's preview the day before the opening. Is that available to all artists that are in the show itself to have their stuff looked at, or is that something more of exclusive?
No, not at all. It is not. No, Nick doesn't do exclusivity, man.
Cool.
It's a level playing field with Glassroots, and so it behooves you to be at the buyer's preview. I believe one year we probably sold three quarters of our entire show was done in an hour and a half at the buyer's preview.
Wow.
We got, I mean, that was the busiest hour and a half, 2 hours of my life.
Hell yeah. Yeah. It seems like a good way to get your stuff out there quickly, like you're saying.
Well, and Glassroots doesn't do like some of the other shows, like Age at a buyer's preview. I think at Las Vegas, the shops that wanted to come in on the 1 hour buyer's preview the night before the show had to pay 2 stacks to get in there.
Jeez.
$2,000.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
It's crazy. And that's also $2,000 that's not going to be on the show floor getting spent on glass.
Yeah, exactly.
So the buyer's preview at Glassroots, it's free. As a matter of fact, Nick spends money on that because he makes sure that he's got wine, beer, beverages, Wisconsin cheese trays getting brought out by a wonderful wait staff from there at the Hilton, and he makes sure that everybody's comfortable, takes good care of them. He's got a couple of sponsors. He does have sponsors, like there's an e-cig company that sponsors a massage chair, massage table. So like, your back getting a little stiff because you've been walking the show, go to the massage booth, get the kinks worked out.
Hell yeah. That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm seeing here on the hours and times and days. So Monday, October 10th is the buyer preview from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. And then the actual trade show starts Tuesday, October 11th from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. And then Wednesday, October 12th from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. And then they have the Education Project is October 10th, 11th, and 12th, daily from 10 to 3, 10 a.m. to 3 p.m.
Yep.
And then live flame working on October 10th and 11th from 4 p.m. to 9 p.m.
Correct.
And there is already a shit ton of exhibitors listed, which is fantastic.
Oh, no, it's sold out.
Yeah.
No, it's sold out. I don't think that I don't think that they have any booths available, and the show doesn't go on for another 4 months.
Yeah. That's awesome.
That's one of the things that Glassroots has always tried to do is they tried to maintain a balance between the number of buyers that they can bring into the show and the number of vendors, because it's important that everybody has an opportunity to make their money.
Mm-hmm.
So, you got 125 vendors, you got 250 or so shops that are going to come out there and be represented. And every year that number goes up. But the number of glass blowing booths, the number of booths available for vendors has always stayed the same.
Yeah. That's rad. Yeah.
It's great, man. It's a great show. It's been a great 7 years.
Yeah, it's amazing too. I'll say all that 7 years. That's awesome.
Yeah, it really is. It's a special kind of thing. If you're into it at all, I would urge people to come out. Now, me saying that all of the booths are sold out is me not trying to discourage anyone from attending. If you're a glass blower and you want to hang out with some really cool people and you want to have some opportunities to see some really cool shit go down, then fly out to Madison in October and enjoy yourself. Have some communion.
Yep. Exactly. Come play with the friends.
Yeah. There's always been top-notch entertainment as far as demonstrate. Hell, last year you had Marcel Braun and Roger Paramore get on stage, and the talk that they had on flame annealing and heat approach and heat base, while might seem like it's a elementary talk, was probably one of the most vital talks that I've heard about lamp working. I mean, they, kind of like when you work out, you need to build your core.
Yep.
Well, that's pretty much what Roger and Marcel did last year was, they did about a 3-hour ditty on how to build your core as a glass blower.
Damn. Yeah, that's
and
fantastic.
I mean, you can sit there and watch two guys, which between the two of them, they have 50, 60 years combined glass blowing experience between these two gentlemen. And they're going to teach you how to not break your shit. I think you should go.
Yeah, absolutely. Too funny, man. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. So, yeah, man.
And then, of course, you never know what other kind of crazy shit's going to happen, man. I think it was about 3 or 4 years ago that Steve Bates brought, I want to say it was his first flamethrower.
Yeah.
Out there. And so I think Hot Breath rented a party boat, and then Marcel went and got a bunch of grub. And so you had Hot Breath renting this, 40, 50-person party boat, Marcel cooking up grub, and then you had you had Steve Bates heating up people's titanium nails with a fucking glass flamethrower on the lake, on a wooden boat.
Oh my God, that's awesome.
Yeah. So there's always good times to be had.
Yeah, I can't wait. It's gonna be fucking awesome, man. So, any kind of last little things about the show you want to talk about? Or are we good to go?
I think we've gone over it pretty good. If you have never been to a trade show and you're interested in checking one out, I do think that Glassroots it's a good starter. It's a good, careful environment. There's a lot of camaraderie. There's a lot of education. You don't have to have a booth to have a good time while you're out there.
Yeah. That's what it sounds like. Well, awesome, Will. I appreciate your time, brother. I know your time's valuable, and I thank you for coming on and talking about this. And we'll bring the guys on, too, to get the history of the trade show and their roots and what gave them the ideas and what got them started. So I'm looking forward to getting them on for sure.
Fantastic. Well, thank you, man. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, man. Hang on until after I hang up. I'll fill you in on something real quick, too.
Okay, fantastic. You bet.
Awesome. Well, I hope you guys enjoy this episode of the Wise Guy Radio Show. We will be in touch, and get your asses up to Madison this year if you can. It's going to be worth it. And if you can't sell your glass there, at least come visit and come hang out and come say, hey, I'll be up there doing some shows and interviews and walking around and seeing the sights and sounds. So love you all. Thanks for tuning in. We'll talk to you. Peace. This episode is also brought to you by C-Cube Co. C-Cube now creates a wide range of specialty and one-of-a-kind artistic glassware, items such as hand-blown wine crafts, insulated coffee mugs, pint glasses, and custom piggy banks, plus glass pennants that you can have personalized with imprinting, logos, and color accents that are available. Just go to C-Cube Co., that's SEACUBECO.com for more information. That's CCubeCo.com. Thank you guys so much for listening to this episode of the Wise Guy Radio Show. If you have any questions, comments, or remarks, please leave them in the show notes page area where it says comments. We'll see you soon. Have a wise night.